So welcome to the intersection. I saw something from the Pope yesterday in terms of Lent. I don't know if Martha Ann saw this, but it was about refraining or, that whole fasting for Lent, not utilizing words that harm others for Lent, to do that. And
I thought maybe you were going to say he sent his lottery eye. Sorry.
yeah, his otter, you know, is ubiquitous. It's everywhere, I would guess.
I I
Anyway,
want I want to put that side by side with what I'm thinking about and encourage all of you to consider Peace on Earth by 2030. That has 7 positive actions that help us build towards peace on earth. So when the Pope says to do the positive, say the positive, peace on earth by 2030 says that. So I will put information so people doing that 9 week series with David Gershom, which is quite wonderful.
in fact, what we should do is at the intersection on 2020 by 2030. But I think what's also,
Wonderful. I can
yeah,
work on that if getting
yeah, get
connections
some
for you.
folks. We've got the new executive director at NAMI coming a week from today at the intersection. And for some reason, I think there's somebody the following week, but I can't remember who it is right now. But we're not planned that far out, so you might want to get David or somebody else to do that with you. That would be wonderful. But I think what is also powerful about the Pope's idea or invitation that is instructive, because I know I try the best I can to always lean into the positive, to say the positive words and kind words to people. But he was also very clear in saying, not saying the words that harm others. So it's, like that other component of the golden rule. Do unto other, treat others the way you wish to be treated, and don't treat others in ways that you do not wish to be treated. So his words were about not using words that harm and hurt others.
Mhm.
And that would be our Lenten practice. And if we all did that, right?
Mhm. Peace
Just
on Earth series starts March 11th. So I'm going to get people lots of information fast.
okay. Well, why don't you work towards not next Thursday, 2 weeks from today,
Great. I'll do
which
it.
will put us, yeah. So here we are at the intersection. We're just, creating all these new ideas, but it is not too late. But my guess is that many people on the screen are coming this afternoon, but it is not too late to come to the round table, to bring others, whether you register or not. The one thing you'll want to do is hang on to your parking ticket, and you can get that validated for 3 hours of no cost parking. And the round table is 90 minutes. So the 3 hours should be, easy, unless you're just a real before and after chatter. Can't help you with that. So, tell others about it. We're really going to dive into how action plans work. I mean, like how they work to move forward. Um, so we don't even have to reinvent the wheel of how to that the basic how to, like, how do we do that, right? So tell others to show up. And as Bill says, he's got a trunk load of chewy granola bars waiting for us all. Are there any other announcements of things coming up?
Hey, and
Peter.
good morning, everyone. I just want to give an update. I've got an announcement kind of tied to two things that I think are really relevant right now with the corridor, that revitalized SA Corridor Leadership Program it's already opened up for applications. And that's a program that I went through. It's a 9-month program. If you have a project you're working in community, a corridor, uh, great resource. Main Street America is taking on the lead, and there's a grant that's tied to the end of it if you choose to take the grant, but the leadership program is great. That's opened up. March 9th is and I'll put it in the chat, is the deadline for applications. If anyone that's working in a project and wants to really gain more resources and more capacity in that work, it's benefited me. And the update for the Quintana Empowerment Resiliency Project that I launched and still continue, my project ends right now, April 28th, tentatively. Got a little extension to continue the work to finish it out. And we got a summit in November. Thank you for those that attended. And we have a follow-up now, which is a workshop. And it's a summit workshop. So it's a Quintana Empowerment Resiliency Summit workshop. It's going to be on Thursday, the 26th, next Thursday, 4 to 6:30. And this is really where we really get to work. And like the lab work. I love the lab work. I'm sorry I missed the first one. I look forward to that work even today. Just trying to be everywhere, but you have to be focused where you are. And I'm trying to stay focused in the work we're doing. But I want to plug this project in, obviously, into the lab because it's a lab unto itself. It's something and we're doing that work, and that's what we're going to be really getting into the details that we launched at the summit, and now we're getting into how do we move this forward with all the partners collectively, the synergy that's there, and what's really great is we actually got access to resources, which was a grant that was awarded to Jesus Rendon, the owner of the what is the Rendon Entrepreneurial Center. So we have a grant now that we're offering to that corridor. We've defined a corridor. We're in partnership with him and the Office of Resiliency and Sustainability. And this is actually open now, but it's very targeted for those businesses and nonprofits in that corridor area, not just the one strip, but the greater corridor. And so it's great to have that as part of hey, we're giving access to resources and building capacity. We actually have something tangible to offer those small businesses and nonprofits. So I'm excited about that work, and thanks for the support.
So, Peter, could you come and talk about the 9-month program? Or you said the deadline was March 9th. I'd have to
I think
look
it's
at
the
it.
10th. Yes.
10th. Because I'd love to have somebody come, or is there somebody that you would recommend come and talk about that program, the 9-month?
Uh, let me look into that, Anne. If I can
Okay.
get someone that can come in that window, whatever the window is, and considering when the closing date.
Okay, I'm just looking at the calendar here. I should have the calendar in my head better. Well, we'll look at the calendar because I think that would also be, I mean, it's done so much for the area that you're living in and working in that yeah, I just
Yeah,
that
I'm an
really
advocate
wanted
for
to
it.
promote that. So
Thank you.
yeah. It's 8:08 and Bill's going to be telling us about if there are any other needs. If you could put those into.
And I put in the chat
Okay.
the Ramadan iftar dinners at Raindrop and Food Bank, and you guys are all invited.
Oh, great. It's on the
I don't
26th.
know if you can
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah, we have many dates, but 26 and 24 is, I think it's full, but 26 and March 12th is still available.
And if you've not been to that before, at the food bank, I encourage you to go. And I'm getting echoes in my Zoom. So I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to lob it to Bill Neely, and he's going to tell us and show us the new portal that's coming in March. And I'm going to quit talking. It's all yours, Bill.
So, well, before I jump in, Kendra's got her hand raised, so I want to let her ask a question if she's got one.
Kendra.
Just real quick, Peter, everything you said is so amazing and cool. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing that resource. Are you still going to drop it in the chat, even though you're going to present it?
That 9 months, Peter.
Okay, we'll get it from Peter. So, all right. So, thank you for having me. So, let's see. All right. So today,
thank you for having sacred, support at the intersection every week,
Yeah, so it only works because everybody comes, right? So otherwise it would just be me and Ann having a weekly meeting. So so what we're going to talk about today, the briefing is going to be brief today because you guys are already familiar with Sacred, and most of you that are on this call have seen me talk about this before. But I want to talk about a new platform that's coming out on Sacred, that one of our new portals, and I want to show it to you guys and talk about what our plan is for this. So this plan is through partnership with the SALSA Coalition at the Area Foundation, and so I'm gonna share this. So this is SALSA stands for Successfully Aging and Living in San Antonio. It's an initiative of the Area Foundation, and it really focuses on community-wide collaborations around older adults. And you can kind of see their areas where they focus. You can look this up on the SALSA website if you want to. But they're talking about, outdoor spaces and welcoming spaces and buildings that are accommodating to all people, including older adults, um, transportation, social inclusion, et cetera. So you get the whole idea here. This is not just healthcare, right? This is not just the hospice and stuff like that we think about when we think about really older adults, but we're really talking about kind of a holistic approach to an inclusive and fulfilling life for people as they age. And so this includes being able to go outside, being able to have friends, being able to volunteer, being able to work if you want to, being able to, stay in your home, get home modifications, being able to find the health care that you might need, being able to find rides, being able to find people like you that you want to hang out with and have friends. And so it's really a very holistic view of aging in San Antonio. Uh, so, so they approached us and they wanted us to integrate their work into Sacred. And so we picked this approach using what we call portals. And so I'm going to show you what we have ready to come. We have the platform is not public yet, so you're getting a sneak preview, and you should be able to you'll be able to look at it today, and then if you want to preview it, um, we'll get you started. But what a portal is on Sacred, everybody's familiar with Sacred. Well, hopefully everybody. You come in, you search for needs and services and so forth. The portals that we have are really about taking a complex area of service and really being able to drill down into that in a way that you can ask very specific questions. Like for example, in mental health care, for example, I can come in here and I can say, guide me through an answer, and I can say I live in the zip code. I'm looking for something for a friend or family. I need somebody that treats youth, etc. And so you can do really granular questions in there to ask things like, I want to find a female Hispanic therapist who speaks Spanish, who takes Medicaid, that has a practice that deals with teenagers that are showing signs of anxiety and depression. It's that kind of granular view. And housing, you can come in and say, I've inherited a house and I'm looking for pro bono or inexpensive help with making sure that I have the deed transferred. Or things like, am a caregiver to my elderly mother, and she needs help cleaning her house, and so because she's going to be moving out of it, right? And so you get things like that in housing services. I need help with finding tenant support, all of those kinds of things. So the most recent one we did, which we launched in November, is this portal called IDD and Disability Support. This is really around individuals that have intellectual developmental disabilities, whether those are congenital or acquired, things like brain injury, things like, there's many that are congenital that you're born with, some that are acquired through accidents, some that present themselves as a child ages. And with this, we've included some new content around what we call the knowledge base. And this allows us to, in addition to just the sacred.org list of programs, we're actually able to put in quality articles and information that's written by professionals in the space that help people navigate through this context. So in the IDD and disability support, for example, we've started with all of these checklists. And a parent that has a child that is born with an intellectual developmental disability has a lot going on and a lot happening, and this is a lifelong situation. Some issues can be resolved. A housing crisis might be solvable. Somebody that's born with a developmental disability is going to have that disability for their entire life. And so so the services and the way that you have to prepare for that are different. So we have checklists here, things that you can come in. You can get this great information about all the things you need to know as your child begins to go through elementary school and approach middle school, all the different things that you need to be doing in your family and in their journey, etc. Got about 20 of these, 25 of these that were written by, these were written by professionals in the space. So these are not SACRD written articles. These are articles that are produced by the IDD Collaborative, by practitioners in the space, by people that are experts in this field. And so, and we're able to take that information on SACRD and amplify it. All right, so, and then you have the traditional portal, which we'll see in a minute. So now what I want to talk about is how we're doing this with older adults. And so the older adult portal is not available on SACRD publicly yet. Okay, so you will not go to sacred.org and be able to find a link to the older adult portal. If you want it, though, you can check it out. I'll put a link in the chat. The link is sacred.org/older adults. And so if you want to try it out and kind of take a look at what we've done, then I invite you to do that. The platform is currently in what we call the advisory review stage, which is really just long words for asking people what we did wrong. And so what we're really trying to do at this point is to try to get feedback from people that will be using the site, people that understand the context of older adults and their needs, and to make sure that we are using the right words, that we're not using words that are exclusionary, that we're not using words that are confusing, and things like that. And so that review is underway. We've been working on this since November of last year. So we are way down the road. We have actually been working on it since January, February of last year when we started doing community listening sessions. We took that information, we built a taxonomy, and now have developed this on SACRD. And we had a little bit of a hang up with some of the funding issues that came on at the beginning of 2025, but we're past that. So we are well down the road. So a couple of things I want to show you today. I have a couple of asks. One is I want you to, if you have an interest in older adults and you have produced material that you think is worth sharing, whether this be an article, it could be a flyer, could be a checklist, could be a PDF document, could be a study that you've done, it could be anything that you have access to that is in the public domain or that you're willing to contribute to the public domain that can help people, either individuals themselves, families and caregivers for older adults, or service providers that are working in agencies that are in this space. If you have information that you want to share, let us know because we'd like to put you in our knowledge base. The knowledge base will look very similar to the IDD knowledge base. We think that it's going to be, this is just a sample article. This is a placeholder article. Obviously, there's nothing there yet. But we expect it to cover things like aging in place, social connection and isolation, home modifications, transportation services, financial planning and legal services, all of those things that so many people in this particular population might need. So, and there's also things about volunteering and work beyond second career type stuff or finding meaningful volunteer activities as you have time that gets freed up. So. Real exciting stuff. So if you have content and you want to contribute to this, then please let me know. You can tell that it's clearly not done because this is all a lot of placeholder stuff. Now, once the content is done, and that really plays a role in helping individuals that come to the portal, kind of helping to give language and vocabulary to what they're searching for, right? So when you come in and you're like, my mom is she's aging and she's I'm worried about her alone in her house and or she doesn't seem to get out as much anymore. I'm worried that she doesn't move well and I don't know what to do. So or so all of those types of things, you don't really know what to ask at that point. You don't have the language and the vocabulary to express a question about the help you need. And so the knowledge base is really about that. Just come in, let's give you a menu of all these things so that you can read about situations. Maybe it's a personal narrative of somebody that went through a process with an older parent and how they dealt with that. Maybe it's a way that an older individual themselves found meaning in volunteer or of a social place that they could go to. And but those things give you vocabulary to be able to even understand what to ask for when you come to walk through the portal. Once you've acquired that, then you can either take a guided process through the portal or you can jump right in. So we can take a quick look at the guide. This allows you to come in and you can kind of start seeing the level, all the different types of categories and things that we have going on here. So caregiver and support, whether this be professional caregivers or familial caregivers or spousal caregivers, connection, social life, legal, transportation, employment, financial well-being, food, etc. As you can see all of the things that we have here. Safety in your home, things like how to stay safe in your home, how to stay safe online, um, things like that, how caregivers can make sure that they have the safety training and needed to make sure that they're there. Technology, how to stay up on technology, volunteering, and so forth. So you get the idea. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So we can just dive in and say, maybe I'm looking for transportation service, and I'm looking for transportation service for medical services, and then I can dive into the programs. Once you get through those interviews, it looks like SACRD, right? So now we've got all of our filters here. We've got a map. Everybody loves the map where you can kind of look at the dots for where things are. You've got your context for what zip code you're in, and then you've got lists of services. So here are all the places um, that have transportation services for medical appointments for older adults. Now, this doesn't mean that you qualify for everyone, right? You still have to look at this data and make sure that you live in the service area, that if there are other qualifications, et cetera. But you can come in and see all of the options that have transportation for medical services. We can clear that. We can look at other issues. So maybe I'm looking for a place where I can find exercise and fitness classes. There's a lot of those, right? Gathering places for older adults, whether it be around, some of them are very wide ranging. Some of them are only exercise. Some of them also have socialization, and the senior centers, the consolidated senior centers throughout our city show up in a lot of categories because they have a lot of services. So you'll find a lot of that. You can come in and look at like intergenerational programs. There's some really cool stuff happening in um, like congregate meals, around intergenerational gathering, an opportunity to kind of bring multiple generations together to learn from each other. Um, we can look at things like places to volunteer. I can volunteer in friendly visitor program. Maybe I want to go and visit other people in my cohort. Maybe I'm looking for a meal delivery job, things like that. And so there's lots of things that you can come in here and find places where I can volunteer as a service to my community, or where I can find services that come from my community focused on me. And then we have other things like housing and aging in place. This is modifications, accessibility modifications, places that have defined programs to make sure that people can continue to live in their home. The best, as we've learned in housing, usually the best option for the best home for you is probably the one you're already in most cases, right? And so trying to make sure that you can preserve that and stay there as long as possible is really important. And then we have other things, estate cleanouts, home sharing, home maintenance. So you get the idea. You can also come in here and search. So maybe you need I want to search for cleaning supports. I can find those. Maybe I want to come in and I want to search for therapy. Maybe I'm looking for an occupational therapy program or something like that. Maybe I'm looking for a place to go for substance abuse. Maybe I need to have a different approach to my communal meetings that I've been attending as I begin to age and my transportation needs change. So okay, so that's I'm going to stop there. We're 5 minutes left, so I'm going to stop there and take questions. My last ask to you is, one, if you want to give this a spin, then I'm going to put the URL in the chat, and you're more than welcome to take a look at it. It's not public yet. We're thinking it's probably going to be public sometime mid-March. We're really waiting for SALSA to finish their review. And I'm sure they're gonna have some comments that we'll have to deal with in order to improve, things that we've missed. And so so that way we can but we think it's gonna go. So if you want to look at it, feel free. And if you want to contribute information to the knowledge base, then let me know. You just have to contact me and tell me what you have, and we will figure out how it fits into what we're doing. Um, we're not trying to, also, by the way, in all of those knowledge base articles, everything, of course, comes with full attribution to you, right? This is your material just being hosted on SACRD. So you get attribution to your practice, your organization, or whatever you need. All right, so I'll stop there and then take questions and see if there's any comments.
Bill, can you go back to the homepage quick? And
Yeah,
just for clarity purposes for everyone. Thank you
yeah,
for doing this, all of it, right? But across the top where it says care, education, food, goods, blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
And that, as everybody knows, is the sacred basic, right? And it's by the resource category that you're looking at. And I'm just kind of repeating this for clarity purposes. And the portals, which are below that, are really by areas of need.
right.
So that's really the difference. But the area of need, those portals really dive deeper and help people define on their own. And so that means like, a health worker, a navigator, as well as, yourself or a parent or a sibling or whatever, right? But it helps people to dive deeper into that area of need, and then it kind of crosses all of those resources. So I just wanted to make sure that people got that kind of clear how
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great distinction. And we call it sacred general, by the way, not sacred basic. So
yeah,
because nothing basic,
makes sense
nothing
too.
basic about sacred. So but yeah, the portals are really about granularity of information, right? So, we might have in our general categories things like blankets and baby supplies, right? I mean, these are not simple things, but these are not complex areas of need, right? But you get into, mental health or older adults, and you're asking a very specific question. I need a program for a 65-year-old single female widowed who has mobility problems, who can get to the curb, but needs help, but can't drive anymore and needs help stowing a mobility device. Right. And I need to go to a medical appointment where somebody will wait for her, and I need it to be paid with Medicaid. Right. So you get to ask those kinds of very specific questions using the portals that the general taxonomy just is not able to support. So, all right. If there are any
Anybody have
questions,
any
we'll take those.
questions or comments?
Uh, Definitely. Amazing work as usual, Bill. God dang, man, that's pretty awesome. I mean, being that I'm already an AARP member. I'll probably be using these services pretty soon myself. So, I'd definitely like to get that link because my sister, she's right now, my mom is living with her, and my mom's 80. She just turned 87, and in the first stages of Alzheimer's and dementia. And I saw my sister recently, and I mean, my mom's only been living with her for about not even a year, and it looks like my poor sister aged 10 years. So I'm pretty sure that she's having some difficulties. She's probably not somebody. My sister's like very hard headed and doesn't like to reach out for a lot of help.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking this would be a very good link for her to look into and to maybe start asking for some help. So I'd really appreciate it if you can definitely send that my way.
Yeah, sure. I put the link in the chat, so we'll have that, and then we'll be sharing it as we go. And then I also put my email in the chat, so if anybody wants to send me a note um, about knowledge base articles, or if you have comments. One of the things that might happen is like, um, some of the things that are happening are like, there's a review for words, right? And so things like this term elder is getting a lot of conversation in the in the advisory process. One of the things SALSA is doing is they're being very deliberate about language. They're not using the term senior, right? They're not using the term, they're not they're trying to use terms that are uh, uh, uplifting and positive, and things like they talk about how do you feel like when somebody says, "Wow, you move really well for someone your age," right? I mean, why don't you just say you move really well? I mean, what's the difference, right? And so we're kind of going through looking for this, and so this term like elder, I think, is probably going to come out. You get so and we have a lot of these descriptive terms, like there's a description for every service for every category in here, and so we've tried to be very careful about um, uh, really going through that language and making sure we're using kind of inviting and human-centered terms, but it's a lot of words. So we're
But the word elder, especially in spiritual traditions, is a term of respect and
yeah,
honor.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so that's part of the conversation, right? Is in what context are you using it, and
Yeah.
is it othering or is it honoring, right?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, because from our cultural perspective with American Indians, we consider elderhood to be the winter of our life.
yeah,
The yeah, so it's something that we definitely, we see it as a word that, like I said, gives honor to people who've been able to live through the four seasons of their lives.
yeah,
So
yeah. I hear you, and that's part of the conversation. That's what makes these things so hard, right? Is you try to make it as inviting to everyone without you know, and sometimes words just mean things to different people, right? So you have to do the best you can. But we're on that, and so I'm not saying that word's going to come out. I'm just saying there's been a little bit of conversation around the word.
Mhm.
Kendra, you
This
have some
is
thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say, bravo. I think it's amazing because for a couple of things, the disability and the elder portal or the aging portal, because disability and aging are two factors of the human condition that none of us will escape, right? I mean, it's inevitable. And it's nothing that not anybody really wants to face. It's why like a lot of buildings were not built disability access
Mhm.
because nobody really wanted to face the fact that we would need buildings that gave us access um, to them as we aged or became disabled. And it's so unique to every person what their aging story or their disability looks like to them, and empowering them and their families to be able to access what they need, how they need it from their home in terms on their own terms, and navigate those resources is just so empowering. I've just been so inspired by the work that you do since the very first time I've seen it. Um, I mean, just really, I just can't tell you how blown away I was when you said, like, we even have restrooms that homeless people can use
Mhm.
when they're out on the street because there's not restrooms people can just use. Just the amount of thought that you put into what each demographic of person needs and how this resource empowers them is just it really blows my mind every time, Bill. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that. Those are very kind words. So, um, we try. I mean, it's not, there's a lot of people that have put a lot of work into this. So I get to stand up here and give the demo and be the face of Sacred, but trust me, uh, it's a lot of people have worked very hard on this, and we have a great team. So, and it doesn't work without you guys using it. But I do think that the intersection between disability and older adults, not surprisingly, was very uh, was substantial, right? And so, the acquired disability as an older adult has a lot of the same requirements as a congenital disability, whether it be wheelchair use or mobility issues or hearing or sight. And so there's a lot of crossover in that. And I think also, I suspect we're going to find some crossover. We're in the midst of finishing a second portal or another portal on substance use, which will probably come out end of March, April timeframe. And I suspect we're going to find some crossover there too, dealing with isolation in the older adult population um, and the increase of substance use. So we'll see how that comes up. Courtney?
Courtney has her hand up. Yeah. Courtney?
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to unmute. I was wondering if there might be a way to keep the term elder and put something on the front page that talks about how it's an honoring term in some cultures, and that
Yeah.
it's not something we should be afraid of or look at negatively, like bring it back into play
Yeah.
as a
I'll make
positive.
sure to mention that in our discussion. And I don't mean to say that, I don't mean to say that the word's going to be taken out. I just mean, it's that level of conversation that's going on about all the words on the page, right? And so,
Mhm.
um, and the SALSA initiative is very focused on producing, kind of inclusive and honoring language. So I'm sure they're going to make a good decision.
An awesome
I
term. I can't wait to be called that.
I remember there was a campaign, and maybe it's all the time, but I remember it from a couple of years ago. Usually, when you're trying to get to person-centered language, you break down, right, a term. So, like elder or older adult, it's a person who's getting older, a person who is aging, right? But there was this campaign. It was something like aging. It's so cool. Everybody's doing it. It's like that's what we're doing. It's like, yep, that's what we're all doing.
Yeah,
And we had,
they need to reboot that one. I like that idea. That's
yeah,
pretty
I
damn
know,
good.
so
We're
cool.
all doing it. Yeah.
But and we had some of those in earlier intersections this last fall in terms of 60 and beyond, and I don't know where that number is these days. Of course, we have that same kind of conversation with, what's the age bracket of younger people,
Mhm.
youth. Who are we talking about with youth? But who are we talking about when we're talking about elders or older people or um, all of us who are aging and in that latter stage? So,
Yeah.
other thoughts and questions that people may have.
Yeah, most of what we've seen in the portal starts at about 60. That
Mhm.
seems to be the age for most of the services when they start considering an older adult. So like the senior centers, for example, in San Antonio, you can be a member of the senior center once you turn 60. Although there are some things that go down as low as 55, which I was a little disappointed to see that I qualify for some things in the older adult portal, but
Why? Because you're knocking at that doorbell?
because I am beyond the threshold for a few of the programs. So that just means I have great taste in music. So being
Yeah, and that you're also cool,
That's
right?
right. So
There you go. There you go.
Gen X all the way. So
I'm just thinking though, this is amazing. And all of Sacred is amazing when we look at it. And I think about other communities that could benefit, like all of them,
mhm,
you know, and and I know from the beginning what was so difficult was that it was because it was so complex and large, right? It was no small thing to begin. And I was talking to somebody the other day about another city and that Sacred, has this platform, then any other city could take the platform and put then information in, and they wouldn't have to go through building the platform. And they said, well, right now they only have 6 resources.
mhm,
And it's not a small city that we're talking about. And I said, that is perfect. That's the perfect place to begin when you have a platform and only 6 that you have to enter, as opposed to begin with 6,000, like so you enter the 6,
yeah,
right? And then it starts to multiply. And, they're at a perfect starting point if they had the platform and didn't have to wait like we did,
yeah.
even though it came along rather quickly. Sam, hands up.
I just wanted to make just an announcement. The American Indians of Texas, we made something historic happen last Tuesday or was it this Tuesday? where the the Native American Church of North America opened its first office, and it's on the campus of 1616 of the American Natives of Texas. It's a historic event for the simple fact that somebody's been trying to attempt to do it like in other states for like 76 years, and we finally got it through. So and it was a beautiful event. It was on the campus. We had tribes, people representing tribes from Canada, from North Dakota, South Dakota. We had people from all over the place come in and sign this, this agreement and this proclamation of having this office here in San Antonio. So I just wanted to say that because I'm very proud to work for a company which, who works so diligently and keeping the culture alive and making sure that, we're not eradicated not only from the history books but from where we are today, right? And really trying to ramp that up and build it up. And with the recent signing with the MOU with St. Jude's, it's going to give us the ability to go out into all the counties and start registering people who do have some type of indigenous background and trying to tie them down to the actual tribal nation in which they're from, so we can start getting better numbers of how many actual indigenous people live here in Texas. So it's going to be a movement
That's
going forward.
amazing, Sam. Maybe we could get Ramon to come and talk about all of that at the intersection. I mean, that's information we should all know and be able to talk about in the community. I just saw last night on Facebook, and I could look real quick to tell you where, but somewhere in the United States, 10,000 acres were just given back to the indigenous community. Huge. I mean, that huge, right?
Those things are happening all over.
Right, right. And so I think all of that's exciting,
Very exciting.
Let's see if we can get Ramon to come and we can all be better voiced on that. That would be a good thing too. All righty, folks, it's 8:42. And next week, we're going to all get to meet the new executive director at NAMI at the intersection. So I encourage you to invite other people. We all know one of the best ways to connect, to begin a connection, is to actually meet another person, to meet the person. We can know a name or whatever, but it'll be an opportunity for all of us to get to meet her, see her face, and get to know her face so that we also know who we're calling and connecting to. And so I really encourage all of us to be here next week. And then Martha Ann hopefully will be doing something maybe the following week. And Peter maybe the following week. And so we're moving, right? At the intersection belongs to all of us because we all live there at the intersection. And so do the action labs. And I hope I see many of you this afternoon at 3:00 at the Big Enchilada, our downtown library. Save your your ticket, so that you can get that validated for no cost parking. And anyway, hope to see you there. Have great days. It's good to see you this morning.
I'm looking forward to the granola bars.
Okay.
You'll be able to take some home with you even if you're lucky.
Oh no, Bill, we'll save those for the next roundtable.
Yeah,
2 months from now.
Granola bars and water. So actually, we have a board meeting today, and several people have announced that they are going to be on Zoom at the last minute, and so I might actually have a couple of sandwich boxes, right? So, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a real hodgepodge of refreshment.
Good.
Awesome.
See you this afternoon.
See you all later, guys.
San Antonio.
Great job, Bill.
Thank you.
Oh, definitely. Amazing. God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.